The journey of Blue Ghost. The Blue Ghost spacecraft drifted silently through the dark void of space, sunlight reflecting off its silver-gray hull, like a phantom gliding through the cold emptiness. 3 days had passed since the craft separated from the second stage of the Firefly Alpha rocket, heading toward its distant destination, the Moon. Inside, the automated systems performed a final check before initiating the landing sequence. There were no astronauts on board, only the quiet hum of machinery and the secrets it carried. The official mission: collect environmental data, measure radiation levels, and survey lunar soil samples. But beneath the surface of this scientific endeavor lay an unknown mystery. A strange signal detected by NASA, originating from Marcrisium, the designated landing site. Day 4, landing hour. Blue Ghost began to decelerate. 4 main thrusters ignited, pushing the craft out of its 100 kilometers lunar orbit and guiding it toward the Moon's dusty surface. The onboard navigation system engaged the Powered Descent Initiation (PDI) mode, adjusting the landing angle with pinpoint accuracy through a series of precise microthrusts. Suddenly, a faint signal emerged. Its frequency matched the mysterious transmission. It was not a natural phenomenon. It was not a radio wave from Earth. The source? It's beneath the surface. Blue Ghost touched down softly. Lunar dust billowed up in a gray mist, then settled in silence. The onboard sensors immediately activated. But what shocked the control center on Earth was the data. Beneath the hardened basalt crust, there was an artificial structure. Something was waiting beneath Marcrisium. The spacecraft deployed its robotic arm, drilling into the lunar soil. 3 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters. Suddenly, the drill struck a smooth metallic surface, unlike any known alloy on Earth. A door, buried for millennia. No one on Earth could explain it. But one thing was clear: Blue Ghost was not just exploring the Moon. It had just unlocked a gateway to an ancient civilization, a secret that had lain dormant for millions of years. And now, the door was about to open. The door beneath the Moon. Lunar dust fell slowly as Blue Ghost's robotic arm brushed across the cold metallic surface. Data from the sensors transmitted back to the control center on Earth revealed that this alloy was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It showed almost no signs of wear, as if it had resisted the ravages of time for millions of years. This door, it has an opening mechanism. The voice of Dr. Eleanor Voss, NASA's lead researcher, echoed with tension. All eyes were fixed on the screen, where the robotic arm was carefully probing a small indentation at the center of the door. A strange symbol appeared, not writing, not mathematical notation, but perfectly symmetrical, as if crafted by an intelligence far beyond human understanding. Suddenly, the ship's systems detected a faint energy fluctuation. It was weak, but it was not natural. It was coming from inside the door. This energy, it resembles artificial intelligence signals, Eleanor whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Blue Ghost received the command to activate its decoder. A small electric pulse was sent into the door. And then, a sound echoed through the Moon's empty silence, a sharp click. The door was opening. A soft blue light seeped through the widening gap. The scanning system immediately checked for hazards. No dangerous radiation detected. But what lay beyond? No one could predict. The robotic arm extended a probe camera into the opening. The first image stunned the entire control room into silence. An endless metallic corridor, smooth and polished, etched with strange symbols lining the walls. There were no signs of life. But the place was not dead. There's an object at the end of the corridor. The camera advanced deeper. At the far end of the passage, a sphere hovered in mid-air, unsupported, without cables. It spun slowly, its surface reflecting the eerie blue glow. The sphere is emitting low-frequency waves, and my God, it's reacting to us. On Earth, the data signal abruptly shifted. A stream of unknown characters flooded the system, a message no one could decode. But one thing was clear: something, or someone, had detected humanity's presence. A chilling realization struck Eleanor. We are not the first to find this place. Something, or someone, was here long before us. And now Blue Ghost had awakened it. Awakening the unknown. The Blue Ghost's camera crept closer to the hovering sphere. Its surface, smooth as liquid metal, pulsed faintly with an inner light, rhythmic, deliberate, as though it were responding to the probe's approach. Each pulse sent another wave of unknown data surging back to Earth, faster and more complex with every passing second. The sphere's energy output is increasing, a technician reported, voice tight with disbelief. It's scanning us. Dr. Eleanor Voss felt her pulse quicken. Whatever this sphere was, it wasn't just a relic. It was active and aware. Suddenly, the data stream shifted. A new pattern emerged, binary sequences interwoven with the unknown symbols. The sphere was trying to communicate. Is it a message? Someone asked. Eleanor's mind raced. Was this a greeting or a warning? The robotic arm extended further, releasing a small sampling tool to analyze the sphere's composition. As it neared the surface, the sphere reacted. In a blur of motion, a thin arc of blue energy lashed out, disabling the probe instantly. The control room fell deathly silent. It's protecting itself, Eleanor said softly. But before anyone could react, the sphere shifted again. Its outer shell rippled and split apart, revealing a core, a swirling vortex of light, as if space itself was bending around it. Then it moved. Slowly, the sphere began to drift toward the open door. Its energy signature surged, powerful enough to distort the blue ghost sensors. We've triggered something, Eleanor murmured. It's not just observing us, it's waking up. Back on Earth, the encoded signals abruptly changed. A single phrase, translated by the AI systems, flashed across every monitor in the room. We remember. And deep beneath the moon's surface, something else stirred. Something far older and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The signal deepens. The words, "we remember," hung ominously on every screen, as if the sphere had been waiting for something or someone to arrive. In the control room, tension thickened like a storm about to break. The sphere is moving beyond the probe's reach, a technician called out. Eleanor's eyes stayed fixed on the live feed. The sphere drifted down the corridor, its surface pulsing in synchronized patterns, like a heartbeat. But whose heart? And why now? Follow it, she ordered. The robotic camera glided forward, its lens adjusting to the dim blue glow. As it advanced, the corridor shifted. Walls once smooth now rippled with movement, symbols rearranging themselves into new patterns as if responding to the sphere's presence. It's changing the environment, Eleanor whispered. The sphere stopped abruptly before a massive circular gateway at the corridor's end, twice the height of a human, its edges humming with unseen power. Strange, jagged lines radiated outward, converging at a single central point where the sphere now hovered. Without warning, the sphere emitted a pulse, strong enough to shake the blue ghost's instruments. Energy spike detected. Levels are rising, a voice shouted. The gateway began to open. Segments of the structure twisted and retracted with eerie precision, revealing a black void beyond, deeper than any shadow, as though it led somewhere far from the moon's cold crust. Then, the signal changed again. A new sequence of symbols poured into Earth's systems, more complex, more urgent. The AI struggled to decode the message, breaking down fragments into eerie, half-formed words. Beware, the first returning. Eleanor's heart pounded in her chest. The first what? Before anyone could answer, a new presence registered on the sensors. Something vast and ancient was waking beyond the portal, an energy signature unlike anything ever recorded. And the sphere? It was no longer a passive observer. It was an invitation, or perhaps a warning, to a force that had been sealed away for eons. Shut it down, Eleanor ordered, her voice cold with fear. We've gone too far. But it was too late. The gateway was open, and something was coming through. What lies beyond? A low, resonant hum filled the control room, an echo of something moving through the open gateway. The energy readings spiked beyond safe levels, saturating the Blue Ghost's sensors with data that made no earthly sense. Something is emerging. The lead technician's voice trembled as the live feed flickered. Through the swirling black void, a shape began to take form. Indistinct at first, like a shadow against deeper darkness. It glided forward, weightless and silent, until the camera caught its outline. A towering figure, cloaked in smooth, shifting metal, with 6 limbs that moved in unnatural harmony. Its surface gleamed with the same otherworldly alloy as the sphere, indestructible, ancient, and far beyond human comprehension. Is that a machine? Someone whispered. Eleanor's knuckles whitened as she gripped the console. This was no simple automaton. The way it moved, purposeful, deliberate, suggested a mind far older and far more advanced than anything humanity had ever encountered. The entity approached the sphere, and as it did, the symbols lining the corridor surged with blinding white light. The ancient language reformed into a new phrase across the control screens. The first guardian has awakened. Eleanor's heart pounded against her ribs. A guardian? Guarding what? The entity raised one of its limbs, and the sphere floated into its grasp, fitting perfectly into a recess in its armored chest. With the sphere in place, the creature turned its head toward the camera, as if fully aware of the distant human observers. Then it spoke. The voice, deep and metallic, echoed through the feed, vibrating the very bones of those who heard it. Though the language was alien, the translation algorithms worked frantically, and within seconds, the message scrolled across every screen. Your kind was not meant to return. Eleanor's blood ran cold. They had not found a tomb or a relic. This was a prison, and they had just unlocked it. Before she could issue a command, the Guardian raised its arm again. A pulse of dark energy erupted from its core, disabling the probe, and the feed cut to static. In the eerie silence that followed, only one thing was clear. Something imprisoned beneath the moon was awake, watching, waiting, and it was no longer alone. The prison of the ancients. The control room buzzed with frantic voices as engineers scrambled to reestablish the lost connection. Despite their efforts, the Blue Ghost's primary systems remained unresponsive. The probe was blind. Eleanor Voss stood motionless, her thoughts racing. That last message echoed in her mind. Your kind was not meant to return. Return? What did that mean? Had humans or something like them been here before? And if this was a prison, what had they just released? A sudden anomaly broke the silence. One of the deep space monitoring stations, designed to track gravitational waves, picked up a disturbance. It came from the far side of the moon, and it was spreading. I'm detecting a distortion field, the chief analyst reported, voice tight with anxiety. Localized around Maricrisium, it's expanding. On screen, a faint ripple appeared around the excavation site. The lunar surface seemed to bend unnaturally, as if space itself was warping. What the hell is causing that? Someone murmured. Before anyone could answer, the system flashed with a new data burst. The Blue Ghost, offline moments earlier, was transmitting again. But this time, the data wasn't coming from human systems. It was from the Guardian. A map etched in brilliant light unfolded across the monitors. It displayed the moon. But beneath its surface were chambers, vast, interconnected, stretching miles deep. At the map's center pulsed an icon that no one recognized. Eleanor leaned forward. This isn't just a prison, she whispered. It's a vault, and the vault wasn't empty. The AI decoders struggled to process the flood of symbols. As the patterns shifted, a chilling realization emerged. The structure beneath Maricrisium was only one of several similar sites. These vaults, they're scattered across the solar system, Eleanor murmured. Mars, Europa, even beyond Pluto. A forgotten network, locked, buried, until now. But what terrified her most wasn't the map. It was the final line of translated text blinking ominously across the screens. The others shall wake. A sudden tremor rippled through the moon's surface. Seismic readings spiked, far stronger than any natural moonquake. Something deep beneath the vault was moving. The Blue Ghost's cameras flickered back to life for a brief, broken transmission, just long enough to show the Guardian. But it was no longer alone. Behind it, 3 more figures were emerging from the void, each taller, each more ominous. Their metallic forms shimmered with unreadable glyphs, and in their hands they held blades of black light. They were not machines. They were sentinels, and their purpose was clear. They were never meant to protect humanity. They were meant to keep something else from escaping. And now, the locks were failing. The ground beneath Maricrisium trembled again, a deep, rhythmic pulse, as if the moon itself was breathing after eons of silence. In the control room, panic swelled as new seismic waves rippled outward. Whatever lay beneath the surface, it was waking up. Multiple energy signatures, growing stronger, the chief analyst reported, his voice edged with fear. This isn't just a quake. Something is activating. Eleanor's hands trembled as she examined the ancient map still glowing on the screens. The lunar vault was connected to other sites across the solar system, but something was different now. The central core, she whispered. It's destabilizing. As if in answer, the blue ghost's feed sputtered back to life, offering a fractured glimpse into the unfolding nightmare. The four sentinels stood in rigid formation, their glowing weapons humming with a strange, harmonic frequency. Beyond them, the portal still gaped wide, swirling with black light, but it was no longer dormant. A new form was emerging. At first, it seemed like a shadow, a void too dark to be real. But as it crossed the threshold, its outline became clear. Taller than the sentinels, its form was jagged, almost insectile. Black armor pulsed with an eerie crimson glow, and at its center, a shattered sigil burned like an open wound. The AI, still translating fragments of the alien code, flashed a chilling identification across the main screen. Designation: the First Exile. Eleanor's blood turned to ice. Whatever the Guardians had imprisoned, this was it. The exile raised one clawed limb. At its gesture, the air itself seemed to twist and fracture. The nearest sentinel stepped forward, its blade humming louder as it moved to confront the intruder. For a moment, the blue ghost's sensors trembled as two ancient forces faced one another, a battle that had been suspended for untold millennia. And then the exile struck. A wave of black energy exploded outward, slamming into the sentinel. The towering guardian barely had time to react before its armor fractured, sending shards of alien metal spiraling through the air. Within seconds, the first sentinel fell, reduced to nothing but dust. The control room erupted in chaos. It's killing them. Whatever that thing is, it's stronger. Eleanor's heart pounded. The sentinels weren't protecting humanity. They were a last line of defense against this. And now the prison door was wide open. The remaining three sentinels moved in unison, their blades flashing as they surrounded the exile. But even as they advanced, the AI pushed another decrypted message onto the screen. One Eleanor wished she hadn't read. If the first exile breaks free, the others shall follow. And far beyond the moon, faint signals stirred from the other vaults, on Mars, Europa, and in the icy dark beyond Pluto. Whatever had been sealed away for millions of years, the second seal to wake. The control room was deathly silent. Only the hum of machinery and the rapid beeping of rising energy levels filled the air. Eleanor Voss stared at the blackened screens where the blue ghost signal had once streamed. Now, there was nothing but static, but the data hadn't stopped. Something beneath Mar Crisium still pulsed, a signal too ancient and too powerful to ignore. "We've lost the probe," an engineer reported, his voice strained. But the energy output is still rising. Before anyone could respond, a new alert flashed across the main console, this time not from the moon. It came from Mars. Unidentified activity beneath the southern polar cap, the system warned. Energy spike matching lunar frequency. Eleanor's heart pounded. The other vaults, they're waking up. Far beneath the ice of Mars, another prison stirred, its mechanisms grinding to life after untold millennia. Satellite imagery revealed cracks forming in the ice, as though something immense was struggling to break free. "We triggered a chain reaction," Eleanor whispered. "The first exile's release, it's weakening the others." A low tremor shook the moon. On the surface, what remained of the vault shimmered as if reality itself was unraveling. The exile stood alone now, victorious over its ancient jailers. But it did not leave. It waited. Back on Earth, the AI deciphered another fragment of alien code. Eleanor felt a chill creep down her spine as the translation scrolled across the screen. "The second shall rise." Without warning, a second surge erupted, this time from Europa, Jupiter's frozen moon. Instruments on the Europa observation station detected seismic disturbances miles beneath the ice, where something massive began to stir. "3 vaults active," the analyst said quietly. "This is escalating out of control." Eleanor's eyes locked on the flickering map, tracking the spread of these ancient forces. The Guardians had failed, and nothing could stop what was coming. The exile on the moon moved again, raising its clawed arm toward the stars. Its jagged armor pulsed with crimson energy as a ripple of dark light spread outward. A signal. A warning. Across the solar system, the remaining vaults on Titan, Enceladus, and beyond Pluto began to tremble. Whatever had been locked away in the black depths of space was no longer asleep. And in the heart of the control room, one final message burned into the monitors. When the third exile wakes, the stars shall fall. When the third exile wakes, in the heart of NASA's control room, chaos spread like wildfire. Data streams flooded the system, each one a warning from deep space. The tremors beneath Mare Crisium had faded, but the exile remained, an unyielding shadow against the moon's pale surface. And now, other prisons across the solar system were beginning to fail. The Kuiper Belt Vault. Eleanor's voice trembled as she pointed to the outermost sensor feed. We're detecting energy spikes from beyond Pluto. Something's waking up out there. The screen flickered, revealing a distant anomaly, a structure buried in the darkness. No probe had ever reached it, but the readings were clear. The third exile was stirring, and it was far larger than the others. On the moon, the exile raised its arms again. Pulses of crimson energy rippled across the surface, forming a pattern, one the AI scrambled to interpret. Within seconds, a new message appeared. The third exile holds the key. Eleanor's blood ran cold. If the first exile had shattered the Lunar Guardian so easily, what would the third one unleash? The lights in the control room flickered. Across multiple observatories, instruments failed as the unknown signal surged in intensity. Somewhere, something was pushing through the final layers of its ancient prison. On Europa, the ice cracked open, revealing a black spire, twisting and unnatural, rising from beneath the frozen surface. It radiated pulses of dark light, synchronizing with the exile's signal on the moon. On Mars, deep beneath the polar cap, seismic waves revealed a doorway, one that had not been touched since the birth of the solar system. But it was the Kuiper Belt anomaly that terrified Eleanor the most. The sensors couldn't penetrate the vault's core, but the energy signatures suggested a living presence, something older and more powerful than the others. It's calling to them, she realized, her voice barely above a whisper. The first exile. It's preparing for the third to rise. A sudden spike in the moon's energy field made the room tremble. The exile turned its burning gaze toward the distant stars, toward the place where the third prison waited. Then, without warning, the AI translated one last, chilling phrase. When the third breaks free, the sky shall burn. And at the edge of the solar system, something enormous began to stir. At the edge of the solar system, where sunlight was nothing more than a distant memory, something ancient was stirring beneath the frozen plains of the Kuiper Belt. NASA's deep space observatories strained to maintain contact as seismic spikes surged, each one stronger, deeper, and more violent. In the control room, Eleanor stood motionless, eyes fixed on the anomaly's growing power. Data flooded the screens, unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. We're losing containment on the Kuiper Vault signal, a technician warned. It's accelerating. The AI struggled to interpret the alien pulses, fragments of an intelligence so old that its language defied translation. But one phrase began to repeat, etched across every console in blazing crimson. The Harbinger comes. On the moon, the first exile remained still, its jagged crown glowing brighter, pulsing in sync with the far distant anomaly. It was no longer bound by the prison. It was waiting, calling across the void for the others to rise. Suddenly, a new tremor struck the Kuiper Vault. The surface cracked, revealing a monolith of obsidian black metal towering over the frozen wastes. For millions of years it had slept, but now, in the wake of the first exile's release, the third was awakening. Eleanor's heart pounded as she scanned the latest energy bursts. This was no ordinary prison. Whatever was buried out there wasn't simply locked away. It had been sealed by powers beyond human comprehension. The energy field, her voice trembled. It's tearing open. A violent rupture spread across the Kuiper Vault as the monolith split apart, releasing a colossal shape from its depths. The sensors could barely process it. A being of pure void metal, too vast to measure. Its surface shimmered with cosmic frost, as if it had slept since the birth of the stars. Jagged wings stretched outward. Each pulse of its awakening form sent gravity ripples surging across the system. And then it opened its eyes. 2 points of burning violet light flared to life, an intelligence that had survived extinction events, stellar collapse, and the death of worlds. The AI translator cracked under the strain, yet one chilling fragment emerged from the chaos. The harbinger has risen. The fall begins. On the moon, the exile tilted its head, acknowledging the presence of its brother. Across Mars and Europa, the remaining vaults trembled, their ancient locks failing under the onslaught. And far beyond Pluto, the harbinger lifted its claws toward the distant sun. A low-frequency pulse surged outward, an invisible shockwave cascading toward Earth faster than any human technology could detect. Eleanor knew what it was. A beacon. And something far worse, was answering the call. The unimaginable revelation. The shockwave rippled through space, an unholy resonance that transcended time itself. Every satellite, every probe, every telescope aimed at the stars went dark. The exiles had awoken, and the cosmos itself seemed to shudder in recognition. Eleanor gripped the edge of the console, watching the unthinkable unfold. The harbinger spoke, not in words, nor in sound, but in a message that bypassed machines and entered the minds of those who listened. A presence, cold, vast, and beyond human reason, seeped into her thoughts. And with it came the truth. You were never alone. The exiles were not prisoners. They were the last survivors, the last remnants of an empire that had ruled before the planets had even formed. A civilization so ancient that even the stars that once bore witness to their reign had burned out long ago. And humanity? Humanity was not the first to reach for the stars, nor would they be the last. The vaults weren't prisons, they were tombs, constructed by an even greater power, a force so terrible that the exiles had chosen to be sealed away rather than face extinction. And now, as they stirred once more, their ancient enemy, the true horror, would return. The harbinger's violet eyes blazed, and with a single movement, it tore open the sky. A rift, a wound in reality itself, ripped across the darkness. Beyond it, there was something else, something that should never have been seen. The architects of the vaults, they were waiting, and now they knew humanity existed. Eleanor collapsed to her knees, her mind unable to comprehend the vastness of what she had just witnessed. The exiles had not been Earth's enemy. They had been its last desperate warning. But it was too late. The last screen flickered one final message before the power died across the solar system. We tried to hide. We tried to warn you. Now they are coming. The final warning. As the last echoes of the harbinger's awakening faded into the void, Eleanor realized a terrifying truth. Humanity was no longer hidden. The exiles had risen. The ancient enemy had seen. And the countdown to the end had already begun. But this was just the beginning of a mystery far beyond Earth's understanding. What else lay buried beneath the planets? What other truths had been forgotten by time? The cosmos had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same again. If you want to uncover the next chapter of this cosmic mystery, don't forget to support the journey into the unknown. Share this story with those who crave the mysteries of the universe. Subscribe to stay updated as we dive deeper into the secrets hidden across the stars. The truth is out there, and it's only just begun.